Hi, this is Jacqueline here with the Grow Program. Thank you for growing with me on today. Glory be to God. Glory be to God. Glory be to God that we are growing for a better way. I'm so grateful and thankful to God. I'm grateful to have you growing. No matter what it look like around you, keep growing in God. You got to grow anyway. Let's grow in God. Yeah, let's grow in God for a better way. Let's rise. Let's rise together. Let's link up and lock up and rise up because we are warriors on top for God. We done came through the battle. Turn around and look over your life and look what God done brought you out of. Look how God done brought you through. You done came through, honey. You done came through a warrior on top for God. Wow. It's amazing. It's been an amazing journey for me. It really has. It's been an amazing journey. And now, God is turning some things. God is showing me some things. God turning some things around for me, making me a better me. And I thought I was all right. But honey, I had some work to do too. I had to grow. God needed to mold me. God is the potter and we are the clay. And God needed to mold me. God needed to work on me a little more on the inside so that I can love me, so that I can understand that I'm not here to be a God servant. A man servant. I'm here to be a God servant. Yes, I'm here to be a God servant, not a man servant. I'm not here for man. I'm not here for self. Somebody said something and I took it to heart. Dave Chappelle said, do something for someone who don't look like you. So that's what I'm doing. I'm doing something for the whole world because look, no, you don't look like me on the outside, but on the inside, we all the same. We all the same on the inside. We all got the same everything on the inside. On the inside. We all got a heart. We all know how to love. Love covers everything. Love knows no color. Love covers everything. Kings and queens, it really does. Love is something. You need to look up the definition of love and see what it really means. Love is not selfish. Love is not about self. Love is about others. Love is about giving, and thinking about others. It really is. And that's why each and every day, I rise to get on this platform to grow for you, to grow in God, to grow for me, to grow for tomorrow, today. Thinking about tomorrow, today. Let's do that for a minute. Let's think about tomorrow, today, okay? Now, I wanted to let you know this. This is a crazy week right here. Stuff is getting ready to be crazy. But the podcast shall grow on. And I'm going to get up every day, no matter what. God got me on a journey. But I got to tell you, I got to tell you, keep growing. Keep on going, honey. It's a spiritual warfare. It's designed to take you out of here. But keep on growing in God. Don't focus on the evil. Focus on the solution. Just like they do on the news. They do all these evil stories. By the time you get done ready to listen to something positive, they done took your own spirit away. They done made, it's so depressing to listen to the news and then to listen to how much airtime they give to this United States citizen who say he getting ready to do this big comeback. I'm telling you, it's a whole lot of other different things that we could be focusing on. Why are you giving this person so much time? A top Republican donor said it's time to move on. Even he said it's time to move on. So I don't understand what the news people are doing. I don't know, and this one thing when you listen to the news, it depends on who you get your news from. But they're going to put their own little spin on it, honey. You got to go find stuff out for yourself. Study and show yourself approved. Don't just go with what somebody say. Go find out for show that it worked. Go find out for show this. Okay, this is what's happening. See, because you can get it from one side, and then that's all you know. It is a mixed up, twisted up one side. Go and find out for sure. Go find out for real what's going on. Then that way we can have it growing on. Go find out what's happening, for real. That's what I gotta do, honey. I gotta know the real deal Holyfield. Come to find out, during this insurrection, January 6th, during this insurrection, it was a lot of pumped up people back then. A lot of people was pumped up and felt that they were going to be able to overturn this and overthrow that and get through this and get through that. And honey, it was just a whole lot of hoopla and talk in the end. A lot of people were vocal in their support of this January 6th. I wouldn't say they were so much in support of, running in the Capitol building. Because, wasn't that many. It was a few people that ran up in there. There were some folks that ran up in there. But, honey, not everybody ran up in there. Not everybody supported people running up in there. The ones who ran in there broke the law. You're not supposed to run up in there. So, if you were in vocal in support of somebody coming up here, coming up to Washington, D.C. and calling themselves going in to overthrow anything, bringing hundreds and hundreds of buses of people. For what? What were they going to do? You march down to the Capitol building and do what? The process was going on. Just so happened they got angry about it. So, this is democracy. This is the laws of the land. This is the way it is, honey. You just can't have folks just running up in there and changing up some stuff. That didn't happen when the Black Lives Matter people came. They had National Guard posted all outside. You wasn't going nowhere. You couldn't even go in there and use the bathroom. So, I'm just saying, so things are a little different. So, see, that's why we got to have genuine equality and righteousness. And we really don't have none of that. We really don't. It's getting better, but we don't have it. And we're working on it. We're trying to make some differences, trying to make some changes, for all around the world. That's why we growing. That's why I want to let you know that this movement is moving. This movement is growing. Listen, God don't need the publicity. God don't need that. Not right now. God, in God's time, honey, I'm going to tell you, in God's time is always, see, that's what happened the last time. Dr. King, God bless his heart. He tried. The NAACP was behind him. They was pushing him, and they pushed him right on to the forefront, right on to the face of evil. He marching down the road in the face of evil. Anything could have came up against him. Anybody. But I'm telling you something. God had the shield around him. Yes. But honey, evil is not going to stop. Evil counts us up for slaughter until it slaughters us. So, see, that's what I'm saying. God don't need this publicity right now. This movement is growing on its own. Look, all I did was implement it. All I did was got it started. God gave it to me. Here it is. Dropped it in my lap. Bam. There you go. It's time to grow. So it's time to grab some folks. Link up and lock up and rise up. We growing in God. See, that's what they did back then. See, they had, the people, the NAACP, word got out. They marching and all this other stuff. Okay. Well, we marching too, but we doing it in a different way. See, we marching on this podcast, listening to this broadcast, listening about God. So, because see, that's what Dr. King was talking about then. God is love. He was trying to tell us love drives out hate. You can't use darkness to drive out darkness. Only light, light drives out darkness. That's what he was trying to tell them. They wasn't listening. All caught up in evil. All just want to shut it down. And in the end, Dr. King even said, I just want to do God's will. Okay, well, you say you a Christian. He say he want to do God's will. That means he trying to bring all the people together. You see, he wasn't just marching with African people. He had Caucasian people. He had all kind of different folks that he was representing. The NAACP and the movement back then. The movement, the civil rights movement, and it's not over with, honey. The civil rights movement is not over with. It was just paused while a rose grew. It was paused. I was a year old when Dr. King died. The civil rights movement was just paused And now here we grow, because I got a message for you. I just want to do God's will. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do God's will. This is a movement about God. It's just going to tell you what God brought me through, how God lifted me. How God put me here. Here I am, pushed to the forefront. I may not have the NAACP or nobody behind me. I can't get a hold. I talked to Al Sharpton one time. He said he was going to call me, and he ain't called back yet. I'm still waiting. But honey, I can't hold off at what the work of the Lord and waiting on somebody to call me. I got to keep on going. I got to keep on moving no matter what it looked like. And it looked, even back then, it looked bleak. It was some of them who didn't even want to do. They said, what are we doing? This ain't even going to work. They don't want to hear it, But honey, Dr. King kept on going. And while he kept on going, the other freedom fighters, they kept going. I'm telling you, they stood up, because if you don't stand for you, who will? If you don't stand up for you and your rights and what you supposed to have, where you at, where you live at, who gonna stand for it? So stand with me, honey, as we standing, as we linking up and rising up, genuine equality and righteousness for all. They so focused on the critical race theory and worrying about what these kids already know about that. They know about slavery. The boy coming there with the hood on, he already know what's going on. They bullying the girl who wears the hijab in school. They already know what that, this is part of her religion to wear this, but you still want to bully her, snatch a scarf off, different things. I'm telling you. You could really say, sometimes you can say it's part of ignorance, but then at the same time, you know better. You know what's right. You know what's right in your heart. You know how you want to be treated. You know how you want somebody to do you. So you got to do other people the way you want to be done. You got to think of it as customer service. See, that's why we got to start touching and lifting. We got to start touching folks. Here, I got a word for you. God is love. That's what God is here. But we done took God all out to school. That's why they in there acting like fools. We done took God all out to school, honey, and now they in there clowning, talking about slap a teacher. I wish we would have thought about slapping a teacher. Oh my goodness, no, See, I'm telling you, where is the respect? Where are these parents? Where are these parents teaching these children to go to school and slap a teacher? These educators are behind. I'm telling you, I drove school buses for 7 years, so I understand what it's like to deal with these children. Out of my 20-year bus career, 7 of them were used to drive school bus children. And I loved it. I love working with the kids. They didn't cut up with me back then. I think I had one fight on the bus, and I quelled that, squashed that. And after that, they acted right. Because, see, it's just how you portray yourself. You got to show respect, get respect. And that's what I did. I'm talking to these kids, motivating them. What are you going to do? And even to this day, do you know when I be out, some kid will walk up to me who ain't no kid no more. They grown now. But will walk, Miss Jack, do you remember you drove me on I'm telling you, if I look at them, I may be able to remember some of them, but, all of them didn't cut up. I remember the ones who cut up and clown. I really remember them, but the ones who were sweet and kind, no, I try to, I remember a little bit, there's a lot of kids, but good kids. God bless these children. God bless them. They adults now, they got their own lives, and I was grateful and thankful to see one a few weeks ago, and he doing good. They doing wonderful. But see, it takes a village to raise a child. So see why the parents sent the kids off to school, for the teacher to deal with. Then I got to deal with them in the morning before they get there. Then I got to deal with them again in the afternoon. So I set the tone too. See, everybody, it takes a village. So we all got to step in. I don't care if that ain't none of your blood. Look, love makes a family. Step in for that child. Fill in the gap. Be there. I'm telling you. Fill in and just be there. Show love. Be there and show love, because God is love. And love makes a family. That's what makes a family, is love. So I always showed, I love those children. I did. I cared for those children, and I wanted to make sure that they had a good start, in the morning and in the afternoon. And I talk to them, it's talking to them and telling them, trying to tell them the right things to do. And when they did right, I bought pizza, I bought them stuff, you have to, we not here for self. We here for each other. And I'm telling you, the children are our future. They really are. Whitney told us that. The children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty that they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride. Go on, Whitney. That's what Whitney told us. That beautiful queen, that's what she told us. The children are our future. And they are, honey. So invest in the future. Invest in tomorrow, today. Invest in the children for a better way. They are looking at us. What are we going to do? That's why we got so many lost souls out here now. That's why we got so many children out here, so many youth. An 18-year-old just got pulled over by the police and he shot the police officer. When the police officer pulled him over, I'm telling you, lost souls, lost. Evil counts them up for slaughter. Their skin color don't matter. We are all under oppression. The oppression affects us all, directly or indirectly. So now, you got two lives messed up. He shot the police officer, and now his life is gone. He through. 18 years old, gone. There go another one. Evil counts us up for slaughter. So that's what I'm saying. These people got people. These kids got people. Somewhere in their life, step in and fill in. Be there, fill in the gap for these children. Stand in the gap. God answers prayers. Stand in the gap for these children. For tomorrow, today. Invest in a child. You talking about invest in stocks. Forget stocks. Invest in a child for tomorrow, today. There go your stock right there. That's your dividend. There go your interest. And there go your return. It's going to come one day. Your return, what you done put in for that child going to remember. It don't matter if you ain't blood. See, because what you're going to show that child is love makes a family. I love you enough. I'm going to stand in the gap for you. God answers prayers. I'm going to stand in for you. I'm going to fill in for you. I'm here for you. I'm going to show you the way. Get out there and teach them how to build something. Get out there and teach them how to fix a car. Show her how to braid. Show her how to do something constructive. Show her how instead of showing her how to twerk, get out there and show her something that's going to help her in life. That's why we got to invest in these children. Invest now, people. Invest now. Dr. King said, I just want to do God's will. Invest in a child for tomorrow, today. That's doing God's will. There go your stock, your interest, your dividend, your return, everything. That's a stock right there. When you put in, you gonna see it. You gonna see it work. Right before your eyes. A beautiful child that you can help raise up and to turn the world around for tomorrow, today. Now this trip coming up is a trip coming up, honey. So I'm going to be recording. I'm going to be, God is moving. I'm going to be, so you got to just work with me. Just know that you're going to hear from me. And just know that I want you to be a part of the daily testimony. We're not recording weeks and months ahead of time over here. This is a journey we on over here. This is grow. Greatness reached over oppression through wisdom. I can't tell you how I got over, and it was 6 months later. I got to tell you how I'm getting over today. For tomorrow, today, and what I'm doing for a better way, and how we all gonna link up and lock up and rise up. United we stand and we don't fall. United we stand and we don't fall. We ain't gonna fall because as our steps falter, I'm telling you, honey, we already linked up and locked up, so we can't fall. We linked up all around the world, 56 countries wide. And growing, in 25% of the world. A year ago, the podcast started October 10th, a year ago. So congratulations, grow. Congratulations, God. Congratulations, you. We growing in God. We are moving to get the breakthrough. God done gave me the breakthrough, honey, and it's growth. So greatness reached over oppression through wisdom. See, this been a journey. Look here. This been a journey. A whole year. October 10th in the haunted house is when I started this podcast. October 10th in a haunted house. I didn't know what to call it. And God told me grow. I was comforted. I'm telling you, Chadwick Boseman's spirit was with me in that house because I was crying about him. And the queen at that time was already dealing with me. God sent beloved spirits. The queen was dealing with me, honey, already. And when that happened, that knocked me to my knees when he died. Because that was something I wasn't expecting that. But then God lifted me. And God showed me that even though he was gone physically, he was there with me. I felt him. I'm telling you, I felt them. I felt those spirits. I heard them. So if it's evil spirits out here roaming and doing evil, it's godly spirits out here doing God. And that's why we growing. Greatness reached over oppression through wisdom. Keep growing, kings and queens. Whoever you done lost, they ain't gone. They there with you physically. They ain't sleep. They ain't resting. I don't care who it is. They are not sleep. They are not resting. You have the victory. Trust in God. Trust what you cannot see, because God and the beloved ancestral spirits are around thee. They are around you right now to lift you, to help you. God is there and God is moving, and we're going to keep on growing. Greatness reached over oppression through wisdom. I love you. Let's rise.